Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. Up right in corner we got Worst starting as the purple Protoss. Bottom right in corner we've got Gosufer starting as the great Protoss. This is on Metropolis, and it is BSL 20 round of 8 Hasuleague quarterfinals. And Gosufer on the edge of advancement. Worst still fighting in it, obviously. This is going to be an interesting map overall between these two guys because you have these huge areas for things to land, particularly Reavers in this instance. And I've seen a lot of Protoss players for whatever reason opt to go Forge on this map and try to cover those exterior areas with cannons, and I have never seen that work out for them. This is a very strong map in my opinion for the what I feel is the bread and butter for Protoss play, which is either 1 gate or 2 gate robo play. Usually I think the standard is 2 gate robotics into observer support bay and play from there. But if you can get Reavers into your opponent's base and have them in a defensive stance, there's just a lot of opportunities to create a lot of havoc at a lot of entry points. And so you have to have a lot more troops spread out, a lot more aware, which is where I feel like that 2 gate play ends up playing a little bit stronger in particular. I wouldn't also be shocked to see guys go for 10-12 gates openers, but with the mineral patch along that edge, it is a little bit easier to isolate your natural expansion, or blockade it, I should say. And so I feel like it's a little bit less strong in comparison to other maps that have wider ramps. Gateway assimilator opening for Worst as well. Worst going for a faster scout than Gosufer. Gosufer is he going to head top right is the next question. His probe looks like it is angling to go cross map. In the meantime, Worst checking top left-hand corner, so never mind. It looks like this is going to be a top right scout for Gosufer. That is going to be a huge boon. Although I'm wondering how much, if it ends up being a little bit less of a factor because of the map, and if there is a presumption of either 1 gate or 2 gate into robotics. First Zealot is queued up. Unfortunately for Worst, on his scout pattern, he will likely be entering Gosufer's base by the time there's a Zealot to blockade the ramp, and again, because it's a narrower choke line, it's easier to blockade. Gosufer going ahead and sneaking into that worker line, creating some havoc, and there that Zealot, yeah, is finishing and should be able to take position. A pylon actually, this is interesting, a pylon proxied along the edge, which I think this setup is indicating a potential 1 gate robo play here from Gosufer, as he wants to have the robotics facility, robotics facility potentially a little bit closer to that natural expansion, so when the Reavers spawn, it is easier to provide defense. Also a possible indicator that we're going to see a faster Nexus sooner rather than later. Worst trying to cut the gap, but the Zealot smacking him, making him think twice about it. Goes for hanging out as long as possible, now making his way out. We do have the 3rd pylon planted in the main. You can already see the defensive pylons being spread out here to provide a bit of more informational coverage. Gosufer going to go ahead and withdraw with his scout. Worst holding short, wants to try to get some follow-up information. Unfortunately, with the probe location, probes crossing probes, that where he might have wanted to remain hidden down the line instead of spotted, so it looks like he is going to in fact draw his worker back. Citadel Vadun, wow, I feel like that is a very risky play from Worst. So he wants to go for an robotics facility opposite side. Well, we'll see how it works out. There is, on paper, this is a Gosufer win potentially, although this is very, very fast Citadel of Vadun. Keep in mind, this is very, very fast. Templar Archives morphing up. I think the Dark Templar might have a shot here, but the observatory is going to be up fairly rapidly. There was a skip of range by Worst to get this robo up, and the Templar Archive's already about halfway finished, but keep in mind the observatory finishes very, very quickly. So Gosufer is going to need to spot, and actually it was kind of cute. It looks like he queued up +1 weapons to give a false impression here on the front. But robotics is going to finish. Now the question is, and we do have a 2nd gateway in the midst of this, Gosufer doing is, and I think this might be an intelligent play on Worst's part actually, recognizing that Gosufer did this kind of walkout oftentimes to see whether there was the 2 gate move out to catch his opponent off guard, and with those troops out of position, the Dark Templar already being constructed. We do have the observatory being built, but if there's a unit trade here for Gosufer, he's going to have a lot of trouble dealing with that DT back at his home base. Zealot chasing this unit across, and the question is also in the midst of all this fire, does he notice the Dark Templar? He does see the Nexus being planted. That should be a head-up indicator here to Gosufer that maybe he needs to think about something. Does he see the shimmer? Never mind, Dark Templar takes a shot, so now he knows there's a Dark Templar in play. He's going to back off. Gosufer is going to end up with a faster Nexus as a result. Is the Observer queued up? Okay, yeah, the Observer is queued up, so it's not going to be an instant win for Worst, but Worst with the follow-up is at least going to get a faster Nexus. The question is once that second Observer is out, with the gateway units that have been produced in the interim, does Worst manage to fill the gap? The probe hiding. Dark Templar very rapidly going to be dispatched. As soon as we see a second Observer out, which is already queued up for Gosufer, he is going to have a positional advantage. Another Dark Templar making its way on the map. Gosufer getting aggressive with his Dragoons. Is Worst able to capitalize on this? If he takes a little bit of a adjusted route. Oh no! Yeah, Dark Templar is able to cycle underneath, so now it's going to be 2 Dragoons versus a Dark Templar. Dark Templar checking out, never mind, he's going to pocket into the 6 o'clock location, but as soon as these troops reveal themselves on the front, we'll have to, there is an opportunity for the Dark Templar maybe to slide through. Some cannons morphing in. Observer takes hits, gets wiped out on the front. Dark Templar trying to do what damage it can and sneak away. Gosufer going to have to retreat in the midst of this. Does have that supply lead, keep in mind. Quick second gas here from Worst, so he wants to try to capitalize on the the potential Templar advantage faster than usual. Is basically, and it wow, quick second gas here from Gosufer. So interesting play here from Worst. He recognizes, okay, I've got DTs, I might be down on troops otherwise, so let me get the High Templar out as quickly as possible, start pumping energy into them as quickly as I can, get Psystorm ahead of my opponent, and that will equalize any sort of unit discrepancy that we were seeing at the initial stages. Gosufer also recognizing that, so going ahead and grabbing 2 additional gateways, his Nexus, and has already got that he built that simulator ahead to make sure he would be able to filter troops rather than going for the robotics facility route. So a little bit of a lost resource outside of just informational advantage here for Gosufer. The Observer also is pinned effectively to the main. No additional observers created, by the way, at this stage. All that gas going into Templar tech. There is the additional possibility of storm drops for Gosufer, where Worst will have to wait a while before he's going to have that option. There's also the secondary problem for Worst, where Gosufer is now producing Dark Templar of his own, and if he tries to move out on the map, actually, if the Dark Templar drop on the near side, he doesn't have any detection outside of these cannons. And I will be interested to see if Worst is able to get a grip on the timing to have the observers with the potential of a robotics facility drop of Dark Templar or High Templar in his main to be able to spot it. So 2 Dark Templar, never mind. I thought this was going to be for drop along those lines. Instead, it's going to be for feedback to equalize, to take out those High Templar out on the field. So these High Templar could quickly get negated. Smart play here from Gosufer. Additional High Templar are queued up for him, although it's going to be 2. So presuming there's feedback, it's still 2 versus 3 and a lot more energy. Sorry, 2 versus 4 and a lot more energy in the midst of this. I was expecting, it looks like that support bay not going to be utilized. +1 weapons, by the way, going to finish much more rapidly for Worst. And Worst, with that faster Nexus, has actually managed to surge ahead in the overall troop count, although I don't expect that to last for long, as he's sitting at just the 4 gateways versus the 6. So Gosufer potentially, interestingly enough, might need to weather an attack here from Worst, but at the same time, I really want to see him produce another Dark Templar or 2 to stymie Worst's lack of mobile detection. 2 additional gateways now tacking on for Worst in the midst of this. We'll see if the economic gap closes. Both players ending up in a scenario where they could end up in an equalized position deep into the mid game, although Worst way ahead on workers right this second. Looks like he's surging actually to presume for a fast 3rd base. He's already got a probe hanging out at the 12 o'clock, where it looked like there was a brief pause in worker production. 2 additional gateways yeah, this is going to be punishing here. So we got 8 gateways. We're going up to the 8 gateways, which is massive production off 2 bases for Gosufer. But he's hidden these gateways to the south. And I think, I'm not sure if he's recognized the lack of observers in his base or not. He's got his own High Templar out, but it's going to be a minute before they have enough energy. The observer holding short right this second. We'll see if it starts moving in further momentarily. Psystorm complete on both ends, +1 weapons complete for Worst. It doesn't look like he's moving out to capitalize on it. Worst also getting the Calderan amulet upgrade a little bit more rapidly to continue that heavy investment in High Templar. He's going up to 8 gateways as well, but in a little bit of a easier to spot location. Dark Templar lurking here at the 6 o'clock location to deny that base. And a Dark Archon sitting at the natural expansion, maybe expecting drops from that location. But in the meantime, so supplies even. Worst is down some troops, but he's ahead economically. And is he going to tack on a 9th gateway and just go ahead and grab that 12? I think he might do so. Already has a cannon warping in. So currently sitting at 8. It's starting to make his way out on the map. The observer gets picked off, but sees that army in motion. Probe at the 3 o'clock location, by the way, to blockade there. An Archon has been added on to this attack force. +1 weapons and Zealot leg speed should be online for Gosufer before this army is able to engage. But keep in mind, there's still that Psystorm discrepancy. Where the High Templar, though. The High Templar lagging a bit. We've got 4 High Templar, and every single one of them is at 200. Dark Archon sitting towards the front. Worst pushing that army. The Dark Archon a little bit boxed out. The High Templar, 1 feedback, 2 feedback, 3 feedback, knock out a lot of those High Templar. And now, Worst in retreat. Recognizing he doesn't have the Psystorm. He was counting on that Psystorm to turn the tide of the battle. Now needs to protect that 12 o'clock location. And reeling a bit back, an observer making his way forward to see how many troops are following this up. Do we still have some Psystorm left? We do have some Psystorm, at least in a few of these High Templar, as they make their way forward. And Worst now having to split his forces between the 12 o'clock and the natural expansion, also trying to open up a potential pincer attack. Gosufer going for the kill, however, pressing in. Psystorm over the short area, another feedback. Or never mind, it didn't look like the feedback didn't get a kill, but got a little bit of damage potentially on High Templar there. Psystorm for the rear, and I think Gosufer has done it. There's GG. Gosufer advances in this bracket. And we'll move on to the semifinals to face the winner. Go ahead and try to shift the view for you guys as I update it. So that was 3-1. He will go on to face the winner of Fisheye and New Ocean, which honestly I'm kind of glad that's the 4th match because that could be an intense one. Goes for 3-1. Goes for advances. It'll be PvP regardless. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.